Hello, and welcome to Marketing Solutions for Local Businesses, the podcast where you will discover all the latest and greatest digital marketing tools, tips, and strategies you will need to implement in order to stay ahead of your competition. If you are not getting the results you are looking for from your digital marketing efforts, this is the podcast for you. And now, here's the host of our show, the local business guy himself, Frank Deming.
Hello, everyone. This is Frank Deming, the local business guy, and welcome for another episode of Marketing Solutions for Local Businesses. Today, we have a treat for you. I have another fellow marketer in the same niche as I am. We both love to create great marketing messages and good results to our customers. I have the great Tim Fitzpatrick on the other side of this microphone. Hey, Tim, how's it going? Welcome to the show.
Fantastic. Thanks so much for having me, Frank. I appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for accepting my invitation.
Yeah, you bet.
I'd like for you to introduce yourself. Who are you and what do you do?
Sure. So, as you mentioned, I'm another marketer. We primarily work with service-based businesses and just help them simplify marketing so they can grow with less stress. We typically focus on the fundamentals, help clients get the fundamentals in place, and then we can help them implement and execute their plan from there. I've been in marketing since, about 2013. Prior to that, I was a partner in a wholesale distribution company that we sold in 2005. I was in residential real estate for a while, couldn't stand that. It was not a good fit for me. And that's when I shifted into marketing and what I'm doing today. But I haven't worked for other people. I've always worked for myself. It's been an interesting journey, but I wouldn't have it any other way.
No, I hear you. I always tell my wife, I am unemployable.
Yes, so am I.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you mentioned coaches. Before I get it, I have a couple of questions I would love to ask you, and I think are going to help the audience here. You mentioned coaches. That is a growing field. What made you get into coaching in the first place? Is it because working with coaches? Excuse me. Is it because it's growing, or is it something that you have an affinity for?
Yeah, it's the ideal clients that we focus on really has been more from the standpoint of marketing their business is very similar or the same as ours,
right.
And so it's so much easier for me to say, hey, look, we're doing these things. That's why we're asking you to do these things. Whenever I talk to clients, I always want to make sure that we're walking the walk. And because this, Frank, there's so many marketers that do a horrible job marketing their own business.
Yep.
They may do a great job for clients, but when you look at what they're actually doing, they're not doing any marketing. So
yeah.
I've always wanted to be able to feel confident in telling a client, look, I'm asking you to do this because we do it ourselves and we know that it works.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting how some people market internet marketing, but yet they don't have an online presence.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. In my mind, that just raises doubt. It raises a question like, gosh, if this person isn't even doing this for themselves and they're telling me how great it is and why I should be doing it, why aren't they doing it themselves?
Yeah.
And, I don't know. When I got into this business, shortly after I got into it, somebody told me, and I wish I could remember who it was because I should thank them. They said, as a marketing consultant or marketing agency, marketing coach, whatever, you need to treat yourself as a client.
Yes.
And so in our project management software, we are in there. Actually, we have multiple projects going on for us in our project management software. It is in there. We are a client. And that time is, once it's in there, well, then it's a heck of a lot easier to start executing and doing the work.
100%. Now, let me, since you're a marketer, I know one of the hardest things to do for me, and sometimes for my customers, and especially when I get into a different market, is to basically hone in on your target market. So Give us some nuggets. Give the listeners some tidbits as to how can I hone in, or how can they hone in on who their target market should be when you take on a project.
I think the easiest place to start for an existing business, right? You've been in business for a while, you have current customers, you have past clients, is to ask yourself 3 questions to start. First, who do you enjoy working with? Mm-hmm. Why do we want to work with people that make us want to bang our head against a wall? I mean, there's no point. So let's identify those clients that we have loved working with. 2, who are your most profitable clients? If we are going to stay in business, we have to work with profitable clients, right? We're doing ourselves a disservice, frankly, and our clients a disservice if we're not profitable.
Correct.
And then the 3rd is, who do we do our best work for? If we can work with clients day in, day out, that we do great work for, that we get great results, what happens? They stay with us. They want to continue to do more work with us. They want to refer us, right? Why would they not? Because we've gotten great results for them. They want the same for other people that they know. So when we ask ourselves those 3 questions, who do we like working with? Who are our most profitable clients? And who do we get our best results for? We end up with a subgroup of current and past clients.
Right.
That subgroup is where you start to look to identify your ideal clients. And you do that by starting to look at the demographics, which are, the numbers side of it. And so depending on whether you're B2B or B2C, this could be age ranges, it could be locations, it could be types of businesses they work with, or types of business they're in, positions that they have.
Right.
How much income do they make? I mean, those are all examples of demographics, but all we're doing is really trying to paint a picture of exactly who this ideal client is.
Right.
And then we can look at the psychographics. The psychographics are about how are they feeling? What are the common roadblocks that they have? What common results are they looking for? What are the problems they have? All of those things. And when we look at the demographics and the psychographics of that subgroup, inevitably what happens is 1 to 3 additional groups come out of that. Those 1 to 3 groups are your potential ideal client types. Oh, and, okay. Usually I never tell a company to have more than 3 ideal client types. If you go wider than that, it's just going to be too broad, right? Like for us, coaches and consultants, professional service providers, home service businesses, the problems that they have from a marketing standpoint are pretty similar, right? They're it's all the same stuff. So they're not really distinct groups of people. So it's easy enough for us to market to those people. But if you end up with groups that are super distinct, the messaging is totally different, the problems that they have are totally different, you're going to have to make some decisions there as to how you're going to do that. But you should never have more than 3. It's 1 to 3. And once you know who those people are, now you can start the next step of trying to figure out where the heck they are.
Right.
That's the next step.
Well, that's awesome. He just gave you some great nuggets there. I hope you guys took notes. Obviously I always encourage everyone to download these episodes and listen to them over and over again, because that's key. If I were to point out one of the toughest things I had to do when I first started doing online marketing was honing in who that target market is. So thanks for sharing that. I think that's going to be very helpful, So is that the process you went through to find that, to go after coaches and all the other service people? Is that the same process?
Yeah. And in the beginning, like if you're just starting out, you don't have past clients you can do that with, right?
Yeah, exactly. So,
but you can still do tons of research. I mean, there's so much information out there online. Yeah. There's forums, so if you're thinking about getting into a particular target market, jump into some of these online forums or groups, Facebook groups, LinkedIn groups, and just see what kind of questions are people asking as it relates to what you're doing. Reddit is another really good one to go to.
Yeah,
as long as there are, subreddits for your target market, you can jump in there and start asking questions and just the the information is out there. You just need to know where to go to get it. And, look, some people go, well, gosh, what if I hone in on this, then it's going to limit the business I do. And what actually ends up happening is you do more business because you're focused. Your message is on point because you know who you're trying to reach. And when you do bring in leads, you convert more of those leads. But the really important thing to keep in mind here is, one, none of this stuff is set in stone. Our businesses are changing. They're evolving.
Right.
I know tons of people who have said, oh, yeah, I want to go after dentists and I'm going to work with dentists. And 2 years in, they're like, gosh, I don't really like this, and I'm not picking on dentists. It could be anybody, right? Mm-hmm. But whatever that target market is, they get into it and they go, gosh, this isn't exactly what I thought it was. I made the best educated decision I could in the beginning, but for whatever reason, this is not a good ideal client type for me. I need to shift. That's okay. Those things are going to happen.
Right.
But the other thing too is just because you're going to focus on dentists or chiropractors or whatever it may be, doesn't mean those are the only people you're going to do business with. It just means those are the only people you are going to direct your marketing efforts towards. And if you get referrals or other people coming in, well, you can make the choice of whether you want to work with those people, but you have to have focus. I mean, especially from a local business, a small local business standpoint, you have limited budgets, and are there companies that can target a much broader audience? Yes, but they have hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars, right? Amazon can reach everybody because they get tons of money. But even Amazon didn't start out reaching everybody. They were selling books online.
That's right.
And when they nailed that, then they started to expand. So it's super important to hone in. It just gives you so much direction and focus. And a lot of companies don't have that. And because of that, they struggle. And
that's the way, that's a good, Amazon's a great example because how they scaled and we all saw that. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
So let's say we hone in on our target market. We got that. That was, again, great advice. Thanks. But here's the thing, as a marketer, I've been around for 14 years now, and nothing ever goes without a hitch. I mean, there's always something, that happens. And I don't have time to go over like the 50,000 problems that can happen. Can you do me a favor and can you identify at least two, how to eliminate at least two of the biggest mistakes people make when they're selling their products? Because one thing is, getting that target market and they come in, now what? So there are always problems when it happens. So give us two of the biggest problems that they can eliminate.
So two of the biggest mistakes that businesses make when they're selling their products or services, one is there's no focus on what's going to help the customer survive and thrive. Okay, we all make buying decisions based on avoiding pleasure or gaining, avoiding pain or gaining pleasure, right? And so many businesses put out this message that is all about them. We're great. We're the number one roofer in New Jersey.
Yeah.
Who cares? So many people say that. How can you prove that? That tells them nothing. That doesn't relay a benefit to the customer. We talk too much about ourselves. Our messaging, when we communicate with prospects, it needs to be focused on them. They don't care about us. What they care about is how we can help them solve the problem they have and get from where they currently are to where they want to be.
Correct.
That's the first mistake. We focus our messaging too much on us and not the client. The second one is we make it difficult for people to understand what we do and what we offer. When we make it difficult for people to understand what we do and what we offer, we lose them. We confuse them. We lose them. They're gone. I saw this stat, and Frank, I wish I could remember where the heck I saw this, but and it wasn't that long ago. But it's like the average attention span of a human at this point is 8 seconds, which is less than a goldfish. So if somebody lands on the top part of your website and they start reading it and they don't get it, they're not going to take the time to get it. They're going back to search results. And they're going to click on your competitors, right? That's what they're going to do. We are so impatient because we are so used to having the answers we need at our fingertips instantly.
Yes.
Ease of access to information is so crazy right now. It's amazing and it's awesome, but it's made people very, very impatient, much more impatient than we used to be, 15, 20 plus years ago. Right. So we have to make it clear. So how do you avoid both of these mistakes? We use, and we recommend that you use storytelling as your framework to create messaging. Because when you use storytelling as your framework, you are focusing on the customer and how they're going to benefit, what results they're going to experience. And you're also being consistent and clear with your message. Super, super important. So, what does this framework look like? Frank, I didn't invent this framework. Frankly, the storytelling framework's been around for a long time. But, most recently, StoryBrand from Donald Miller really popularized using this framework to create your messaging. And when it was introduced to me, I was like, man, this is awesome. I totally get this. It's simple. It makes sense. And when it makes sense to me, and then you start to talk to clients about it and they're like, yeah, I get it. That's what needs to happen. And there's thousands of businesses that have used this framework to create clear, engaging messaging. And so when I saw it, I was like, this is it. This is how we're going to create messaging for clients. And so that's what we do.
It totally differentiates you from the rest of the pack. I'll tell you that. I do. I'm familiar with the book. Yeah, I love the book. It's an awesome book. Yeah, I have it both on audio and physical.
Yeah, it's just and it's not that difficult, right? No. Because when you think about like your favorite action movie, right? There's a character or a hero in the story. Mm-hmm. They have a problem. They meet a guide. The guide gives them a plan that calls them to action so they avoid failure and they reach success. When we take this framework and we translate it over to your business, what we're doing is we're inviting your customer into a story where they're the hero and your company is the guide.
Right.
When we talk too much about ourselves, we're positioning ourselves as the hero, and our customers aren't looking for a hero. They want a guide that knows how to solve the problem that they have.
Correct.
And so when you think about it, like one of my favorite movies is the original Point Break. Are you familiar with that?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Oh my God. So Keanu Reeves is a green FBI agent. Okay. There's a band of bank robbers robbing banks. His partner, Gary Busey, has been there, done that. And he says, hey, I believe that the ex-presidents, this band of bank robbers, are surfers.
Mm-hmm.
So the plan is you need to learn how to surf to infiltrate. The call to action, learn how to surf so that we avoid failure. They ride off in the sunset and get away with all the money, and we reach success, which is we catch them. So, that's the model. But look, customers, they want to work with people that are credible, that they can trust, that show empathy to the situation that they're in, and have confidence that you know how to help them get from point A where they are to point B, which is on the other side of the river.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you want to be the guide in the story, not the hero.
Right. No, I hear you. I mean, one of the things that you said that resonated with me 100% is because of something that I learned in my years of working with clients, is that you want to be clear, not clever.
Yes.
When you overcomplicate things, because you want to use words that only the great writers use or whatever, it just makes it a lot difficult. They say that if you can keep it to a 7th or 8th grade reading level, you're going to win the battle rather than go to a college degree type of PhD writing style. It's so funny. When I first heard it, I didn't believe it, but when I started applying it, I'm like, oh.
We need to keep things simple.
Yeah.
And not overcomplicate them. It's, most of the time when people try to get clever with their messaging to, quote unquote, differentiate themselves or whatever they're trying to do, it just, people don't get it. And when they don't get it, they're not going to spend the time to get it.
No,
they're going to move on. It's too much brain power.
Yeah.
And so we really do. We don't have to overcomplicate this. It can be simple.
Right.
It's just say what you mean,
Yeah. Say what you mean what you say.
That's it.
All right. So I just have one more question for you, but before I do, I understand that you have a gift for our clients. We have a specific landing page for my listeners. Can you? I'm going to drop the link in the show notes, obviously, but can you tell us what can they expect when they go there?
Yeah, absolutely. So when they go there, we put together some free resources to help them with these fundamentals that we're talking about during this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a ton of things in there. There's our simple marketing plan. There's the brand playbook messaging template that we use is in there. We've got an ultimate guide to marketing strategy to help. I refer to what we're talking about today, target market, messaging, and a plan, as the marketing strategy trilogy. There's some information on that. There's a customer insight survey in there. One of the things that if you do nothing from this interview, take the customer insight survey and interview 10 to 15 of your current or past customers. Mm-hmm. Ask them the questions on there, and I guarantee you will get so much value from that, because it's so hard for us to articulate our values sometimes as business owners because we can't think objectively about our business.
Yeah.
Our customers so often can articulate our value very clearly. And when you see it down on paper, you're like, oh my God, why didn't I think of that? Well, because we don't think objectively about it. We're too in it.
Right.
So that's in there. There's a ton of good stuff in there. They don't even need to opt in to get it. Okay. Just go there and they can take advantage of that stuff.
Awesome. That's exactly why I stay away from doing my own marketing. I have my team do it because I'm too close to it. So I let them do it. So it's the same reason why. That's funny.
That's it.
Well, this has been very helpful. I just you mentioned something on the list of what they're going to get. And I just want to ask you, I mean, I know they're going to be able to read the resources on the page. But I'm just curious, how can they create a simple marketing plan, say in minutes? Because I think just giving them that little tidbit will probably help them.
Absolutely. So here's my viewpoint on marketing planning. Mm-hmm. It's done in 90-day sprints. Our businesses are evolving too quickly, and our marketing needs to be able to evolve with it. So spending thousands of dollars on a year-long marketing plan, to me, is just a waste of time. Most of the ones I've seen are super complicated. And when you make things complicated, that is going to be the enemy of results. It's just, it's going to break down and it's going to fail. Right. So I look at 90 days. There's 6 steps in the plan that we use. First, who's your target market? I want you at a minimum to have a paragraph for each of the ideal client types you intend to attract. I just want to keep it top of mind who you intend to do business with. Mm-hmm. 2, what's your goal for the next 90 days? It needs to be specific, measurable. It's going to be time bound because it's a 90-day plan. So this could just be, I intend to bring on 5 new clients in the next 90 days. Okay. Mm-hmm. Third step is, what's your budget and your resources? Do I have $500 a month? Do I have $5,000 a month? Resources is time and capability. Is it my time? Do you have staff people that have time to do it? We need to take stock of that. But just because, Joe in your office has 5 hours a week to spend on social media, well, if that's not his thing, then you probably shouldn't be. If his capabilities don't lie in social media, don't assign social media to him. Okay. Right. That's why we need to take stock of this. This third step tells us what we have to work with. Then in the 4th step, we're looking at what's our current marketing plan. And Frank, I know most people may not even have a plan. All we want to do in this section is just get down on paper what we're currently doing, what we've done and what we have in place and what we continue to do. Right. What this does is it gives us a baseline or a reference point of where we're starting from. It's like my GPS. My GPS can't tell me how to get to the airport until I tell it where I'm starting from. You can't figure out what you need to do from a marketing perspective to reach your goals until you know where you're starting from. So that's what this fourth step does. Then the fifth step is, what am I going to focus on in the next 90 days? This is your marching orders. This gives you your priorities so that you eliminate distraction and you know exactly what you need to do. Mm-hmm. And then in the fifth step, sixth step, what metrics am I going to track?
Right.
The metrics help you determine whether the actions that you're taking are having an impact. And then at the end of 90 days, you can look at it and go, what worked? What didn't? Let's make course corrections here. We're going to keep doing this, but we're going to make these course corrections. We can update our next 90-day plan, and then we wash, rinse, and repeat.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
That's
if
awesome.
Most people used a plan like this, even after 6 months, they would go, oh my gosh, I've accomplished more in the last 6 months than I did in the last 2 years.
I like that. I especially like the GPS analogy. That's awesome. I've never heard that one before. But that whole sixth step is really succinct. I think if all you guys who are listening really take a look into that, that'll help you tremendously, because what he said is on point. I really agree. And also a lot of these people don't even have plans, which is weird, but but you should have a plan. You should have some kind of idea of who you want to work with. And especially now because of COVID, I've noticed, and I'm sure you've noticed, an uptick in so many businesses starting, because a lot of people lost their jobs. They have to do something. And so this will be helpful for them as well, I'm sure.
Yep, absolutely. Frank, one of the common questions that I get too is, well, how do I know what to focus on? One of the tools that is in the free resources is called the Marketing Evolution Index Checklist.
Okay.
That is a great tool to look at, to just give you kind of a framework or some checkpoints where, hey, if I'm working on my website, what do I need to have done in phase 1, 2, and 3? Mm-hmm. Or if I'm thinking about social media, what do I need to have done in phase 1, 2, and 3? And they can use that as a way to look at, hey, what have I done? Let me check some of these items off my list. And what haven't I done that I might want to focus on in the next 90 days? So that's a really good tool, I think, to bring some clarity to this otherwise expansive question of what do I focus on?
Right.
Use that as a guidepost to start.
Well, there you have it, guys. So head on over, go to the show notes right now, click on that link and check it out, because I think if whether you're struggling or not, that's going to be a helpful tool for you. It's always good to double check to make sure you're doing something right. So thanks a lot, Tim, for sharing that. Now, before I let you go, is there anything that I didn't ask you that you think would benefit the audience?
Oh boy, that's a great question. From a marketing standpoint, I would just reiterate, don't skip the fundamentals, because they lay the foundation for the rest of your marketing house. So if you skip them, you're going to waste time, you're going to waste money, you're building a house without a foundation, which we all know is not going to last long. So get those fundamentals in place. And then the next logical step is to make sure that you get your website right, because everything you do from a marketing perspective, whether it's offline or online, is driving people back to your website. So if your website doesn't have, the essential elements it needs to convert visitors to customers, you're not going to be getting the return that you should on your marketing dollars. So that's my best piece of advice based on what we've chatted about today.
Awesome. Well, thanks a lot, Tim, for coming on the show. I really, really appreciate it. Guys, look him up, Tim Fitzpatrick. He's online. He's doing some great stuff in there. If there's anything that you want to model, you should model what he's doing, and definitely hit him up. And if you have any questions, I'm sure he or one of his astute people will help you out. So with that, I am going to bid farewell to this episode of Marketing Solutions for Local Businesses. This is Frank Deming, the local business guy, and you have just been blessed by the great Tim Fitzpatrick. So until next week, take care, folks, and bye for now. Peace out.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Marketing Solutions for Local Businesses. the podcast where you will discover all the latest and greatest digital marketing tools, tips, and strategies you will need to implement in order to stay ahead of your competition. Don't forget, any links that were mentioned during the broadcast will be available to you in the show notes, so be sure to grab them while you have the chance. Incidentally, if you have any topics that you would like for us to discuss on the show, be sure to send an email to the email provided in the show notes, or click the Contact Us link and let us know what topic you would like us to help you with, and we'll be sure to add it to our schedule. If you would like for Frank and his team to look at your digital marketing presence and give you a free evaluation, simply click the Request a Free Consultation link in the show notes to get a hold of them. That being said, until our next episode, make it a successful digital marketing day. Peace out.